The highlights of pre-production were, as I earlier mentioned, talking about what kind of game we want to design, coming up with ideas that would make the game.
We actually got to implement all of the core mechanics we thought we could make, and yeah, everything was in the prototype.
And for the art Bible, we need to show our concept art and the colors and the environment we are going for, and also the texture and all the assets we are going to put in our.
We came out of pre-production with a very strong technical design document. We very much planned out quite meticulously what we were going to do and how we were going to go about it.
Game design document is a very broad document in which you need to give a lot of details in terms of the backstory, characters, mechanics, unique features, the world, and everything. So it was a bit of a challenge. So it was a very important process.
The challenges that we faced were, as I said, the understanding how to deal with the scope of the game, and we had to make sure that although we had a lot of ideas, we had to come up with something that was viable to make in 3 months.
In the early stages of pre-production, we didn't necessarily know what we were going to do, and that was fairly standard for pretty much all of the teams. That we had to come up with a series of different ideas. We'd pitch those ideas to the instructors. They'd have their feedback. A lot of times we'd come up with an idea, we'd pitch it.
I'm also writing the GDD. GDD is like I mentioned before, it's a big document and it needs to be professional. It needs to reflect, even though you just start designing the game, it needs to reflect everything about the game. It needs to explain the game very well. So it takes time to.
Challenge was that with all of the school other homeworks and assignments, you have to manage to work at this project at the same time, so there wasn't much time to actually spend on this prototype.
There was a lot of ground we needed to cover. We needed to come up with, okay, what are the mechanics? How do they work together? How does this tie into everything else?
The other challenge was to also understand what works best with the game and what wouldn't, and the fact that we shouldn't be adding a lot of things and we should only be focusing on the core gameplay. That was one of the challenges that we faced. And also related to the programming, it was like understanding how Unity works, how we would be able to make a first-person stealth game.
For us, pre-production, because we're also having full set of classes at the time, we didn't necessarily have the time that you normally would in pre-production to just focus on the project. So that also contributed a bit.